So, slow living for sensitive women. How do we live more slowly and more attuned to our own sensitivity? And by sensitive, I mean in our ability to feel and how the world can really have an impact on that. So if we feel things deeply, if we're deeply kind of in sync and in tune, we can very easily get kind of swept up in a pace that actually doesn't really work for us. So the first key element is daily devotion to yourself. And by that, I mean, it doesn't really matter what you do, but you need to be devoted to it on a daily basis, whether that's 5 minutes and whenever you can carve out that space. I believe it's better if we can do it at the beginning of the day. So you carve out that time because then that really kind of sets your rhythm and it helps you to honor that rhythm as you go through the rest of the day. But if that isn't possible, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before bed. And then what you do, what you devote yourself to is obviously entirely up to you. But anything that is helping you to attune to your rhythm, like your pace. Obviously, this doesn't apply in every single aspect of life, but oftentimes we feel like we have to rush, or actually we have old patterns of this sense of rushing, and they're not necessarily applicable in every aspect. So attuning to a rhythm that feels good for us is key, really. So what you do with that time, whether that's some really steady movement, whether it's being still, just hand on your heart, feeling your breath, any other kind of ritual that you love to do, whatever it might be, but it's really like it's not soaking in the bath, really, though. Like yeah, that's nice, and yes, if it feels like you can do that for longer, then maybe, but that's also kind of essential. I'm really talking about carving out time to really be with yourself and kind of feel whatever you do that. And mornings are great and best, in my opinion. And because if we can be attuned to a slow pace in the morning, it really does help us to kind of draw back into that during the day. And it also sets our nervous system up. So we feel then less likely to be kind of knocked off our center as we go through the day. And yeah, everything feels quite fast sometimes. So it's really just about not getting caught up into that. Other ways of honoring our own pace and just really is to really listen to the body in the most basic ways. So we can go really deep with this in terms of the language of the body and how it communicates, and really like honing our ability to listen and then follow through with what we're being told. But in terms of just kind of slow living in a nice pace, is listening to bodily urges, like pee when you need to pee, drink when you need to drink, eat, like all of those things. So it's telling the body that you know how to listen and that you honor what it's saying. And yeah, so that we don't kind of get caught in this kind of ignoring the most basic of signs, because then it's harder to kind of feel into the more subtle messages that come through the body. So yeah, I hope that's helpful in some way. As ever, I will leave some links to practices that maybe are helpful and supportive in carving out some time on a daily basis, and yeah, just other resources and bits and pieces in the comments. Thanks for watching.